I believe that we should abolish gender. I'm not saying that we should live in some dystopian society where everyone looks and acts the same. The abolition of gender wouldn't be a neutralization of identity and expression. What I'm saying is that it would actually be the opposite. A world without gender would be a better world for everyone. What is gender? What does it mean to be a man or a woman? To start, gender and sex are two entirely different things. Gender is not biologically innate, unlike sex. Sex is determined by a combination of genetics, hormones, and anatomy. Most people fall into the categories of male and female, and some people's biological traits land them somewhere in between male and female. But regardless, sex is determined by science. Gender is a set of socially and culturally constructed expectations and roles associated with masculinity and femininity. Gender is not encoded in our DNA. Gender is everywhere. Our clothes are gendered. Masculine clothing is often presented as more angular and functional, while feminine clothing is often soft and rounded. English has gendered pronouns like he and she, and in major Romance languages like Spanish, every noun has a grammatical gender, not just people and pronouns. The way we move our bodies is gendered. Crossing your legs makes you appear more feminine, while taking up more space is traditionally a masculine trait. Our values are gendered. For example, kindness and creativity are considered feminine, while leadership and bravery are seen as masculine. These values are not reserved for any one person, but they are expected to be. Society rewards people that fit into these gender categories and punishes those who don't. The Western beauty standard favors features like a small nose with high cheekbones, soft fair skin, and thin waist. Women specifically, but men too, are treated better when their physical appearance better fits what their gender is supposed to look like. Many famous actresses exemplify Western gender roles and standards. Catherine Switzer was the first woman to officially run the Boston Marathon, and male race officials attempted to push her out of the race while she was running. Although she is respected by many today, she stepped out of the gender norm and acted in a way that was not acceptable for the time, and she was punished and scrutinized. Generally, women in South Korea with soft, fair skin and delicate features are more valued by society. This is shown by the extensive skincare routines like the 10-step K beauty regimen. While women of the Mercy and Suri tribes of Ethiopia wear lip plates that get progressively larger with age. Lip plates are a sign of beauty, and a woman with a larger lip plate is seen as ready for marriage, and a woman without one might be seen as less valuable. In Western society, we see a gender binary, which is the belief that there are only two genders, which are opposite, distinct categories. Whereas in South Asia, there exists a community that has been around for centuries, called the Hijra, which are recognized as a third gender in Indian culture. We see that gender is socially constructed because of the variety in gender norms across cultures. Gender is similar to money, borders, and laws in that they are all social constructs. Gender, money, borders, and laws are not real, like how gravity is real. But that being said, gender is very real in its consequences, just like money, laws, and borders. Gender also exists differently internally and externally. Gender identity is the way someone feels internally about who they are and what gender they align with, and gender expression is the outward presentation or performance of that internal feeling. Gender is a social group. In Western society, there are primarily two groups, man and woman. In institutions, men hold far more leadership positions than women. In the US, women earned 85 cents for every dollar a man made in 2024. Women in the US still struggle for reproductive rights. Domestic violence, sexual violence, and reproductive coercion are seen around the world. 50,000 women and girls were killed in 2024 by their intimate partners or family members. 60% of all female homicides were committed by intimate partners or family members, while only 11% of male homicides occurred within the family. If someone is trafficked for sexual exploitation, there's a 90% chance they are a woman or a girl. Women have limited access to education, economic opportunities, and healthcare. Malala was shot by the Taliban for her activism in girls' right to education. The social group itself is not oppressive, but the social group, in this case gender, is inextricably tied to the system which organizes power around that group or category. That system is called the patriarchy. The patriarchy functions as a hierarchy, with men being the dominant social group with more privilege and power. We can't pretend like everyone of the same gender has the same experiences. For example, black women experience higher rates of gender violence than white women in the US. And women that live in the lowest income countries are disproportionately affected by gender violence. Although men do not face systemic oppression like women, men also suffer within the patriarchy. Suicide rates are significantly higher among men than in women. Men are confined into rigid social roles and are often forced to suppress emotions and vulnerability, which is key for creating and maintaining healthy relationships. We also can't act like the patriarchy functions independently of other systems like capitalism and racism. Through media and advertising, women's bodies are commodified to feed male consumption, giving rise to platforms like OnlyFans. This reinforces patriarchal ideas by encouraging men to view women as property, which normalizes male dominance. The fight against the patriarchy calls for the fight against other systems of oppression that work alongside each other. It's impossible to fight one system without addressing and including the intersectionality of others. Patriarchy is to gender what racism is to race. Gender and race are the social categories, while the patriarchy and racism are the systems in place that have one group overpower another. Have you ever heard the saying, divide and conquer? The patriarchy, a system of oppression, thrives on division between groups. Patriarchy teaches women to see one another as rivals instead of allies, which distracts women from uniting against systemic issues. The patriarchy teaches men and women to see each other through a hierarchical lens, which prevents us from seeing our shared humanity and the fact that we're a part of the same system, which ultimately restricts potential among all of us. Have you ever heard the protest anthem, "The people united will never be defeated"? We must unite as one to dismantle the patriarchy and other systems of oppression. And that requires the social groups and boundaries upholding oppressive systems to dissolve. To be clear, gender abolition is the long-term end goal or final destination. This isn't a policy to be implemented overnight. Gender abolition happens slowly as gender norms lose their relevance or grip.
Come on, who's with me, huh?
You might be thinking to yourself, gender isn't all bad. In fact, it's an important part of my identity, and I like expressing it. Why take it away? To many, gender can be profoundly affirming and meaningful, and the idea of abolishing it can sound threatening or harmful. Drag is a form of performance art in which drag kings and drag queens perform exaggerated masculinity and femininity. People enjoy this form of gender expression, and many find it as a respite or refuge from the constant gender expectations and limitations enforced in the outside world. In the proposed final destination, a world without gender, drag would likely be an entirely different form of expression. Abolition doesn't mean banning expression. It means removing the association between expression and gender. It means when you express yourself, you wouldn't be put in a gender category and assigned privileges. It's about removing the very reason that makes a drag show one of the only places, particularly for the LGBTQ+ community, to fully express and explore true identity. Gender abolition would only be possible in a world where transgender people are fully safe and accepted by society. Many trans people rely on gender categories to create a sense of self and authentically express that self, which is important to anyone but specifically trans people, as suicide rates are significantly higher and mental health issues are much more common among the trans community. Higher suicide rates and mental health issues does not show that there's anything wrong with being trans. It shows that there is something very wrong with the way society treats trans people. As gender norms become less relevant, trans identity would be less about transitioning between gender and more about self-expression. Same with gender identity. Our identities would lose associations with gender. With gender abolition, we aren't losing identities or limiting expression. We are changing to identify and express on a deeper level. Kids who look like boys and kids who look like girls are treated very differently from a young age. A kid who has short hair might be roughhoused with, whereas a kid with long hair might be treated more gently. A kid growing up who finds they feel like a girl but lives in a male body will grow up treated like a boy because of how gender is linked to sex and will experience a feeling of dysphoria. Gender dysphoria is a mismatch between the internal sense of gender and the sex assigned at birth. If your biological traits didn't control how you are treated or how your parents cut your hair, kids wouldn't feel a mismatch between their sense of self and the way the world treats or sees them. Gender dysphoria also has biological factors at play, so it wouldn't disappear entirely, but it would likely go by a different name and be detached from gender. Biological differences do exist between sexes, yes, and one might say that biological differences will create social differences. Gender assigns rules, meanings, and expectations to those differences, and that is what I argue that we should abolish. Biological differences are not at all a sound justification for existing oppressive social structures, and that argument has an overly simplistic view of who we are to one another. If you were raised without the idea of gender that is so ingrained in us now, you would create an internal sense of self independent of gender. It is currently becoming more popular, although still controversial in Northern Europe, specifically Sweden, to raise kids with a gender-neutral approach. The purpose is to allow kids to explore their identity without gender norms or expectations. Another example of gender currently losing its grip is non-binary people stepping outside the idea that man and woman are the only ways to identify. Because of current phenomena like these, I would argue that gender abolition is a currently unfolding societal shift. We are already on our way there, even if we don't see it that way. There are many layers of identity. Gender is a fundamental part of many people's identities. I believe oppression and hate stems from division. You versus me. I'm not saying that identities are bad. But I am saying that we need to rethink who we really are. Our core beings are not gendered. Our souls are not masculine or feminine. There is far more that unites us than divides us. I believe that we are actually deeply connected. There is no real difference between you and me. When we talk about abolishing gender, we're really talking about peeling back one of the deepest layers of separation that we have between each other. The more we see in common with each other, the less hate there is. Abolishing gender may seem like an insurmountable task. And in a world undergoing so much drastic change, in a world rampant with so much destruction and hate, it's easy to want to give up. We come to think that only great power is capable of fighting against evil forces in the world. But that is not what I have found. I found that it is the little things. It's the small acts of kindness and love made by everyday people that hold this world together. What's going to dismantle the patriarchy is the courage to look at another and see yourself. I dream of a world where the oppressive systems of the patriarchy come toppling down, where gender no longer holds any bearing on one's identity. I dream of a world where our humanity reaches out to people who might seem different than us. A world where our humanity not only is seen in some, but in all. I dream of a world where the word humanity no longer applies only to humans, but to all life, to all that you can see and touch, to all that you can feel. I dream of a world where our love is boundless. I dream of a world where we are together and free.